Bringer of Darkness. We're already super familiar with the First Hokage and his legendary wood-release kekkei genkai. I mean, the guy is literally the only person in history who was born with natural wood release. So basically, every single wood release technique out there can be traced back to him as the original creator. But let's switch it up. Instead of talking about wood release, let's dive into something totally different. The Bringer of Darkness technique. This jutsu throws a hallucinatory darkness over the target's vision, making them see absolutely nothing but pitch-black void. Now, here's why this technique is insanely terrifying when you break it down from a combat science perspective. In every fight, about 80% of the information your brain processes for tactical decision-making comes from sight. So when Bringer of Darkness wipes out that sense completely, it's literally dismantling your entire spatial awareness and defense system. That's exactly why even Hiruzen Sarutobi, with decades of hardcore combat experience, could only turtle up and play defense instead of launching a counterattack. Hashirama totally understood that every ninja has a psychological safe zone, that personal range and field of vision where they feel in control. Bringer of Darkness absolutely destroys that concept. When you're drowned in absolute darkness, you've got no clue where Hashirama is, from which angle he'll strike, or even how many wood release clones are surrounding you. Once vision is gone, the opponent is forced to rely on other senses, but this creates a brutal delay in reaction time. Facing this jutsu, Hiruzen had to adjust and fall back on his hearing and smell, but even then, he was only able to hold a defensive stance. And you already know, if you're a dojutsu user, your power is insanely dependent on vision. When that sight gets stripped away, your eye techniques are completely useless. Hashirama basically had the ultimate, absolutely badass counter to the Sharingan right in his arsenal. Now, if you've made it this far, welcome to the amazing world of anime. This is the place for true fans like you, where we celebrate all the magic, action, and emotions anime brings to our lives. You've watched, you've felt the hype, you've been lost in these beautiful fantasy worlds, but, have you hit that subscribe button yet? Right now, almost 90% of you are watching without subscribing. Just imagine, if everyone hits sub, we could build one of the strongest anime communities out there. So, go ahead, click that subscribe button right now so you won't miss any new episodes, deep dive breakdowns, or awesome anime content coming your way. Thank you so much. Flying Thunder God. Tobirama Senju created a jutsu that literally redefined what it means to be untouchable in battle. This is a space-time ninjutsu with a pretty simple core mechanic. You leave your seal anywhere, on any surface, and you can teleport straight to that seal whenever the hell you want. The core principle of the Flying Thunder God is that it completely destroys the whole idea of a safe distance in combat theory. Every ninja usually calculates based on one simple formula: travel time equals distance divided by speed. But once Tobirama tags his target with this technique, that formula just collapses. Distance becomes zero, travel time becomes zero, and suddenly, the entire battlefield turns into one giant zero-distance engagement zone. This jutsu lets the user flip instantly from defense to offense. For example, when Minato used it, he could totally dodge the 4th Raikage's attack and then instantly teleport to Killer Bee's side, ready to finish him off. This is exactly what you'd call a battlefield control system. By spreading seals all over the fight, Tobirama, and later Minato, could set up a teleportation network that basically gave them control over the entire arena. Every kunai they threw was an anchor point for instant movement. That's what turned these legends into an omnipresent threat, like they were literally everywhere at once. Especially, Minato's seal never naturally fades. So once you've been marked, Minato can pop up next to you at literally any time. Your entire survival depends on whether he feels like pulling up to end you or not. The absolute beauty of this technique is its scalability. From single-target assassinations to full-blown battlefield dominance, the Flying Thunder God works flawlessly. When Minato inherited and perfected this jutsu, he proved that a single ninja could absolutely change the tide of an entire war just by mastering this insane space-time manipulation. Mutually multiplying explosive tags. This one's also a creation of the second Hokage himself. And honestly, mutually multiplying explosive tags is straight-up peak tactical insanity. This is the living embodiment of the mutual assured destruction philosophy applied to one-on-one combat. Tobirama literally turned his own body into a walking nuclear chain reaction. To really get why this technique is so terrifying, we gotta break down the mechanics of exponential multiplication. Each explosive tag doesn't just blow up once, it spawns more tags mid-explosion, and those tags keep multiplying again and again. This is pure mathematical progression in its rawest form. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8. Within seconds, you've got a cascade effect that's almost impossible to control. Once this jutsu is activated, the user basically becomes a self-sustaining explosion engine, pumping out continuous damage without needing any recovery time at all. Now, the enemy isn't just dealing with the initial blast, they're getting smacked with the concept of endless destruction. Every explosion isn't the end, it's the start of the next wave. This is warfare psychology at its most brutal, creating despair through the promise of infinite suffering. This technique totally redefines area denial. Normal area denial moves set up temporary barriers or create hazards that last for a limited time. But mutually multiplying explosive tags generates an expanding sphere of destruction that just keeps growing until someone manually shuts it down. The longer it runs, the more tags spawn, the bigger the radius gets, and the more everything inside gets obliterated. This isn't a technique you can simply dodge or brute force your way through. It demands high-level strategic countermeasures because you're literally fighting against the mathematical certainty of exponential growth. Realistically, unless you're something crazy like Tentail's Jinchuriki Obito, with literally infinite regeneration, you're absolutely toast. That's why when Tobirama unleashed this move, Hashirama immediately forbade anyone from even going near him. But here's the thing, bro. The destructive power of this jutsu is so insane that using it is basically straight-up suicide. You don't just die yourself, but every single ally caught in the blast radius is absolutely going down with the enemy too. This technique is brutally savage, and the collateral damage is downright terrifying. Like, if both sides end up dead, what's even the point, right? But this jutsu is way too powerful to just toss aside. Not using it almost feels like wasting potential. So, our genius Tobirama cooked up another technique to pair with mutually multiplying explosive tags. That's right. Edo Tensei. Yeah, your allies can't die if they were already dead in the first place. Tobirama's idea was to summon the souls of fallen warriors, give them an indestructible body with infinite regeneration, and throw them back onto the battlefield. If they activate the explosion or get caught in it, no problem. Their bodies just regenerate right back to normal. Yeah, man really invented a forbidden jutsu just to make his first forbidden jutsu usable. When combined with mutually multiplying explosive tags, these immortal shinobi literally turned into walking bombs with infinite destructive power. Tobirama basically created a perfect death loop. The harder enemies tried to wipe out the reanimated soldiers, the more violent and continuous the explosions became. And that, right there, is exactly why even Tobirama himself had to seal away both techniques. He realized he'd built a weapon so dangerous it could absolutely annihilate the entire ninja world if it ever fell into the wrong hands. For real though, even on its own, Edo Tensei is absolutely busted. This isn't just some simple resurrection trick. This was a straight-up revolution in ninja warfare, flipping the whole mindset from managing losses to weaponizing losses. Before Tobirama came up with this jutsu, every single shinobi war was built on one brutal truth. Resources are limited. Every ninja who died was an irreplaceable loss. Every unique skill or kekkei genkai that vanished with them was gone forever. But Edo Tensei completely shattered that natural law. It literally turned death itself into an infinite armory. Instead of treating legendary dead ninja like distant memories, Tobirama brought them back as fully functional warriors, summoned anytime he wanted, with all their power, experience, and special abilities intact. Imagine a squad where every single member is a battle-hardened veteran with decades of combat, kekkei genkai in their blood, and secret jutsu nobody else could ever replicate. And yeah, this technique could totally flip the entire balance of power in war. In traditional tactics, taking out the strongest enemy was always priority number one. But with Edo Tensei, the strongest enemies are straight-up immortal, bro. That whole idea becomes completely meaningless. Like, you could kill someone like Madara Uchiha 100 times if you wanted, and he's still coming back in perfect condition, forcing you to fight the same nightmare battle over and over until you're absolutely drained. Shadow Clone Technique. Yup, another jutsu from Tobirama. And yeah, another absolute game changer. This is honestly one of the most genius inventions in the entire history of ninja arts. To really get how legendary the Shadow Clone Technique is, you gotta look at the historical context. Before Tobirama came up with it, every ninja was stuck with the limits of being a single person. You could only be in one place at a time, only do one mission, no extra arms, no backup. You were totally chained down by your own body. But Tobirama said, nah, screw that, and just straight up broke the system by creating physical duplicates, clones with their own chakra and their own consciousness. And here's the key difference, the word physical. Normal clone techniques are just illusions, fake images that trick your eyes. Shadow clones are actual fighters. They can think, throw hands, they can deal damage, and they can even cast ninjutsu, which means a single ninja could suddenly multiply into an entire squad of real combatants. Sure, they're not as strong as the original body, but they're still dangerous as hell. Now, of course, because these clones can actually fight and not just look pretty, the chakra cost is insane. The more clones you make, the more chakra you burn, and if you're a regular shinobi, that'll drain you dry and put you in the dirt fast. Tobirama himself was a senju. Man had chakra reserves for days, so for him, it wasn't a huge issue. But for normal people, it was basically a death wish. That's why, for the safety of the users, Tobirama actually banned the use of the Shadow Clone Technique. Classic Tobirama move, dude invents some god-tier broken jutsu, then immediately tells his descendants, don't you dare use this. From a strategy perspective, the Shadow Clone Technique gives you an absolutely overwhelming advantage in both numbers and surprise factor. Like, picture this, you're squaring up against one ninja, and then he suddenly turns into dozens, maybe even hundreds of fighters, all swinging with the same offensive power from every direction. Even the most experienced shinobi would straight up get stunned by that sudden shift in the battlefield balance. But the real game-breaking part of Shadow Clone is the memory transfer. When the clones poof away, all their memories and experiences flow back into the original body. That's the mechanic that transforms Shadow Clone from just a battle jutsu into a revolutionary learning tool. Tobirama basically invented a cheat code for training, letting a ninja stack up the experience of hundreds of practice sessions in a fraction of the time. And honestly, maybe Tobirama only came up with this because Hashirama dumped way too much work on him. Man was probably like, screw this, I need clones to do the stuff, and only later realized it was also busted for combat. If you've noticed, every Hokage ends up drowning in documents, except Hashirama, who was just chilling like a king. The crazy part is, Tobirama didn't even live that long, and his time as Hokage wasn't very long either. But the amount of research and wild inventions he dropped on the ninja world? Straight up endless. And of course, the technique he once banned later became Naruto's absolute signature move. Stuck in a tight spot? Just spam that Shadow Clone button like it's free DLC. Rasengan. This right here is the jutsu created by the fourth Hokage himself. First, let's peep the origin story. Minato looked at the tailed beast bomb, a move with absolutely terrifying destructive power, and decided, yeah, I'm gonna make the human version of that. Rasengan is straight up a masterpiece of chakra shape manipulation. Imagine trying to spin chakra in multiple directions at the same time, inside the tiny little space of your palm. That's insanely complex energy control. Minato literally spent 3 years mastering this thing, and that fact alone shows how ridiculously hard Rasengan is. But the payoff? Way beyond anything anyone expected. The destructive power of Rasengan comes from a super simple but insanely effective physics principle: concentrated rotational force. When chakra is compressed and spun at ridiculous speeds inside a small space, it basically turns into a pure energy drill that can pierce through almost anything. Naruto proved that point loud and clear when he straight up dropped Kabuto with a single Rasengan shot. But what really makes Rasengan totally special is its tactical application. When Minato combined Rasengan with Flying Thunder God, he straight up created an almost impossible to defend combo. Flying Thunder God is literally the core of his one-shot kill fighting style, but it needs a jutsu that can be fired off instantly. And that's where Rasengan comes in. It completely eliminates hand seals. In the ninja world, where most jutsu require a whole bunch of hand signs before activation, Rasengan opened up a totally new dimension of combat. While the enemy's still flashing through seals, the Rasengan user can already slam them with a direct hit. That's an insanely huge tactical advantage Minato cooked up. Picture it. 1 second the enemy sees Minato standing in front of them, and the very next second, boom, they're eating a Rasengan to the back without even having time to react. Rasengan didn't stop at its original form. It turned into the foundation for straight-up terrifying evolutions like the Rasenshuriken, Big Ball Rasengan, and even elemental combo versions. Minato didn't just create one jutsu, he laid down the first brick for an entire new jutsu system. That's the vision of a real genius, crafting something that can keep evolving forever. Maybe this right here is the greatest legacy the fourth Hokage ever left for his son. Body Pathway Derangement. This one's a jutsu created by Tsunade Senju, the fifth Hokage. Yeah, I know, some of you are already thinking about the Byakugan system. Here's the deal. Byakugan is an ancient technique dating back to the Sage of Six Paths. Tsunade didn't invent it, she revolutionized its practical battlefield application. That's why Body Pathway Derangement is the one making the list here. Let's break down what it actually does. Tsunade literally turned medical ninjutsu from a healing art into a weapon for combat. She uses her insane knowledge of the human nervous system to create an attack that no ordinary ninja can defend against. She transforms chakra into electrical impulses and sends it straight into the enemy's nervous system through a single touch. And then, every signal from their brain to their body gets completely scrambled. Now, you want to move your right leg, but your left hand twitches instead. You try to attack forward, and your body spins backward. This isn't just disabling someone, it's psychological torture at the highest level. The enemy becomes a prisoner in their own body, utterly helpless against what's about to go down. See, while most jutsu focus on raw power, or sheer chakra, Tsunade targets the control system itself, the brain and nervous system. This is a strike at the enemy's command center, making all their combat abilities basically meaningless. Unless you're an elite medical ninja like Kabuto, you're gonna struggle to counter the effects of this jutsu on your body. So yeah, it's massively practical in real fights, but it's only used sparingly. Chidori. Continuing our journey through legendary jutsu created by the Hokage, we hit up Chidori and Lightning Cutter, the iconic moves of Kakashi Hatake, the sixth Hokage. To get why Chidori is so special, we gotta check the origin. Kakashi originally tried to mash lightning chakra with Rasengan and failed. But instead of quitting, he flipped that failure into motivation and cooked up something completely different, something that fit him perfectly. And that, my friends, is Chidori. The essence of Chidori is insanely focused lightning chakra packed into the hand. Imagine compressing the raw power of a freaking thunderstorm into the tiny space of your palm. That's exactly what Kakashi did. That signature chirping sound? Not just for show. It's an indicator that his chakra concentration has hit peak level. Yeah, kinda like Rasengan in that sense. But here's the thing. Chidori isn't about ripping things apart in slices. It's about piercing through anything in its path. It's literally a one-hit kill weapon. When Kakashi rockets forward with Chidori, he becomes a conscious lightning arrow, capable of drilling through anything in his way. Of course, raw power comes with a price. The insane speed of Chidori creates a tunnel vision effect. Kakashi can only see straight ahead, making him a sitting duck for counterattacks. But bro, Kakashi's got Sharingan, so he's dominating. Sharingan doesn't just fix the tunnel vision problem, it straight up elevates Chidori to a whole new level. With the ability to predict enemy movements, Kakashi can unleash Chidori with insane precision, turning this already deadly jutsu into a perfect killing weapon. When Kakashi upgraded Chidori into Lightning Cutter, he reached the absolute peak of lightning chakra control. The name Lightning Cutter was born when he literally sliced a bolt of lightning in half using this jutsu. Mechanically, Lightning Cutter works just like Chidori, but the accuracy and sheer destructive power? Way higher. Eventually, Chidori became the perfect counterpoint to Rasengan. While Rasengan spreads its destructive force over a wider area, Chidori hones all its power into a single pinpoint. It's basically the difference between a hammer and a sword, both lethal, but each has its own deadly purpose. The evolution into variants like Chidori Senbon or Chidori Sharp Spear shows just how insanely versatile the original technique is. Just like Minato, Kakashi basically opened up an entire combat system based on lightning chakra. From close-range brawls to long-distance strikes, from single-hit takedowns to wide-area attacks, everything becomes possible thanks to the Chidori Foundation. Rasenshuriken. Naruto Uzumaki also cooked up his own legendary jutsu, Rasenshuriken. Now, technically, he didn't invent the principle from scratch, it already existed, but only Naruto could actually pull it off, combining shape manipulation with elemental chakra. From a tactical standpoint, Rasenshuriken is a micro-level attack, meaning it doesn't just hit the surface, it goes deep, shredding the target's chakra network cell by cell. This makes it the ultimate nightmare for anyone who can regenerate or defend with chakra. When Rasenshuriken explodes, millions of microscopic wind blades slice through the enemy from the inside out. This is damage that laughs at ordinary defenses, unless you've got some serious chakra absorption trick up your sleeve. Using Rasenshuriken strategically is insanely flexible too. At first, Naruto had to get up close to hit, and it was basically a melee weapon. The wind blades would slice through the enemy and his own hand, yeah, it's basically a self-destruct move. Tsunade straight up banned him from using it because the damage was just too hard to heal. But after mastering Sage Mode, Naruto upgraded Rasenshuriken into a throwable weapon. Now he can strike from a distance, reducing risk, while controlling the trajectory with chakra arms in Kurama mode. This turns Rasenshuriken into a fully guided chakra missile, able to adjust its path mid-battle like a freaking pro. The sheer combat power of Rasenshuriken has been proven in some absolute classic fights. Take Kakuzu, for example, one of the strongest Akatsuki members with 5 hearts. One single Rasenshuriken hit obliterated 2 hearts at once and completely paralyzed his ability to fight. Kakuzu could live for nearly a century thanks to his heart-swapping technique. But against Rasenshuriken, all that combat experience and immortality went straight out the window. Later on, Naruto took Rasenshuriken even further, mixing it with all sorts of elements, different chakra types, and crazy sizes. Basically, he created every Rasenshuriken you could ever imagine. Absolutely insane. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.